right, so Joseph Mutavarichia, he's originally from Kenya and studied at Michigan State University, where he graduated with a degree in biochemistry and biotechnology. He went on to work as a research scientist for Rubicon Genomics, right? Did I pronounce that? A startup biotech company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. After the economic recession of 2009, he was part of the core team that transformed the company from $0 to $75 million, evaluation and acquisition in 8 years. Joseph started his own business development and digital marketing company and moved to Florida, where he now resides with his family. His love for his faith, fitness, and mentoring led him to join Incarnation Catholic School. So welcome, Joseph, as the PE teacher,
Right,
while also assisting with their marketing and development. He was originally charged with coordinating Incarnation's Giving Challenge campaign. In a very short time, AKA 24 hours, raised more than $50,000. So well done. Good job, Joseph. And before you dive into the presentation, like we'll do with all of them, I'm going to this time choose Connie. Connie, can you lead us in a quick prayer, please?
Sure. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this day. Thank you for blessing us with talents to promote and inspire people of faith and people to bring into our faith. Thank you for this beautiful day that you give us and all the opportunities to represent you in the best way. And may we learn from Joseph today, inspire him to speak things that are going to fall beautifully onto our ears. In your name we pray. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, that was on the spot, John.
Good. I know. That's the best ones to have. All right, Joseph. So, floor is yours.
All right, excellent, excellent. I was so prepared for your question, John, and I had 5 different answers for what's not on my bio, right?
What is not on your bio, Joseph?
That's right. So I went to Michigan State. I love sports, and I actually played rugby for Michigan State for 3 years. And funny enough, it was how I picked the colleges, right? They played soccer and rugby, and they had a good biochem program, so it was really in that order of, how I picked Michigan State. But it's such an incredible honor to be here with you guys. I'm committed to finishing on time, even though we started a little bit later. And the conversation today is going to be about conversion, right? It's about how do I increase the number of conversions on my marketing collateral, my website, my posts, everything, without spending any more money, right? That's the key. We're all sort of budgetary constrained and would like to get more effective, okay? Now, I am outside, so you're going to hear random everything, right? You're going to hear a random plane flying over. I just pray and hope that I can still be clear. If there's any, if you can't hear me, if I'm speaking too fast, just let me know, okay? But this is going to be interactive. I am going to share my screen, and then we'll go for it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, excellent. I will share my screen right now. Can you all see my screen as I change it over?
Yes, I see your screen.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And also for all our participants, all of our presentations are recorded today, and I will send the links to the recordings at the end of the day today.
All right, excellent.
All right, excellent. So we're going to talk about the conversion equation. This is one of the things that I use in my business consulting, trying to help especially small businesses just get better ROI from their marketing. I'm not going to use necessarily education-specific examples here, but I just want to introduce the concept, and then we can always talk about it in more detail later on, okay? And I have muted, not muted, but I have minimized the screen so I can see what I'm talking about here. Let's see if I can Okay, no, it's gonna be confusing. Sorry. So you guys are kind of minimizing the corner, but feel free to jump in whenever. You can see my screen. I'm gonna put this in presentation mode. And then get going here. So what's the conversion equation? The key to marketing, right? So I love asking questions, but let's go ahead and shoot some answers out there. What is the key to successful marketing? And let's get a couple answers from you guys.
I would say like return on your investment. So like you put something out there, you see direct numbers.
Awesome. Return ROI. Okay. Next. Another one.
I would say one of the most important keys to successful marketing is having a solid marketing plan with measurable goals and objectives.
All right. So plan, goals, and objectives. All right. That's the first step. Okay. So we're just going to, in the interest of time, we'll keep going. And all right. So that is the key right there. Okay. Is being able to enter the conversation taking place in the head of your prospects. Really at the time they're having those conversations. So all those two things are important, but the only way we actually the only way we actually get our measurable goals and objectives is if we can enter that conversation at that particular time. Okay, and and what is that? It's, oh my goodness, decided to cut something behind me right now. So I'm not sure how we're going to do this. I may have to give me a couple seconds. I'm going to mute you guys for a second here. This is not going to work.
We can still hear you, Joseph, unless the lawnmower hasn't started yet.
Well, the lawnmower has started, and they're coming closer to me. So,
we can still hear you. Is anyone else having audio problems with hearing Joseph?
Not at all.
I would say, just keep going, and if it gets too loud, we'll just wait till the.
Okay, excellent. So, all right, so the conversation that's taking place in all our prospects' mind, right? It revolves there are really two major points. There are two major points they're trying to address. There's a problem they have they don't want, right? And then there's a result they want but they don't have. Would anybody agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
At any given time, right? Whether it's that we're talking to a student.
I think it's muted.
Joseph, I think you got muted, or we don't hear you anymore.
John, I'm going to switch over to my phone. Let me in, will you please?
Joseph, are you still there? Mine moved.
Oh, the laptop battery.
Oh. Okay, maybe he had a plug in again. While we're waiting for Joseph to come back online, I was going to ask this question toward the end anyway. Does everyone here have some type of strategic plan or a marketing plan or development plan that is already in place at your school, or are you currently working on one?
That is a perfect thing. Coming into this position, there really wasn't a marketing department. And so as we had special events, there was no even an event plan. There was nothing, there was binders of information, but there wasn't an outline. And so when we have our strategic plan for the school and we had our marketing group, that was one of the things that I had said is that this summer, when I have the moment and the time, is to create an extensive marketing plan and event timelines for each of the events that we do. But no.
We did have a strategic plan that the school had been working on for the previous year, but I would agree with everything Melissa said in terms of our marketing. And with development coming in as, I think I'm the second person or maybe the third person to have this job. We didn't have a lot of written formal, years gone by practices to refer to. So we have documented most, I would say 99% of what we've done this year, with the intention that if something happened to me or Melissa, that somebody could walk in and do our jobs without, great questions or research.
Anyone else have one? Working on one?
It's okay. When we did our strategic plan spring of 2019, we included marketing and development in that plan, and we've been trying to follow that. We have limited personnel, as you know, at St. Joseph's. So one of the things, so I have an extremely supportive board, and they've been behind me as a committee with other staff and people on that committee and parents as well.
And I'm going to put Deb in the spotlight here. I know 6 schools participated in the Giving Challenge. And what Deb mentioned is that, like all the schools, we do have limited time and resources, but if you use it wisely, you can have incredible things happen. And Deb, do you mind telling me how much money St. Joseph raised in total from the Giving Challenge? That includes your donors that were outside of the actual challenge itself.
$135,000.
Wow.
And we did another $79,000 for the food pantry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well done. And
thank you. A lot of work. It was a lot of teamwork. I have to say that. A lot of teamwork.
And that's what it's going to come down to. And I'm sure Joseph, are you back with us now? Looks like he's trying to log back in. So, yeah, that's all right. This is nothing. My Army Reserve unit did its first virtual battle, first virtual drill ever last month. Oh my God, it was a disaster. trying to get 50 soldiers to be online, and many soldiers in my unit, their civilian jobs, they're first responders. So people will be asking for roll call, and they say, "Hey, where's Sergeant so-and-so?" And then you hear someone chime in, panting, says, "I'll have to get back with you there. I'm chasing." I'm chasing He was literally running on foot. He was chasing down someone who had just looted a store.
This is a little bit of what our teachers are experiencing sometimes now, so we can have empathy for them.
Yes, I certainly do.
As they're teaching this way every day.
Overall, how is that going? And what kind of feedback are you getting from the teachers and the students about just the virtual class environment?
It's going very, very well at St. Joe's. I would say almost all of our students have been participating and attending classes, which has been good. One of the things that we're finding now that we have to do is really up the creativity, because the novelty is starting to wear off. And so to keep them engaged and excited about learning, that's our newest challenge now.
Does anyone else have similar challenges? Or just recommendations? I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's Tanya. Sorry. How are y'all? Yeah, no, it's going well at St. Charles. We're doing well. The teachers are really getting into it. And now we're taking advantage of all these recordings. And we're going to create YouTube channels next year, so that if they need subs as substitutes, I can go ahead and pull it from their YouTube channel and their recordings for their lessons, at least for fourth quarter. And we're maybe talking about doing some more recordings next year, even if we're not on distant learning, to help with substitutes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I hear over and over again from my teachers, that when they do come back, it will definitely change the way that they teach and the way they involve parents. I think some of the parent relationships have been very positive.
Agreed. Good point, Debbie.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right, welcome back, Joseph.
Welcome back.
Oh my goodness gracious me. All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good to go.
All right, excellent. You know, the screen is going to be a little bit smaller here as we as you know, because I had to computers real quick on you, and so it's going to be what it's going to be, right? We're just going to roll with it because we're flexible and adaptable, right? Can you still read it? Can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll just continue for where it was. It's all no. Go away. Okay. We can still continue where it was. So again, so the key here is how do we, oh, hello, that works. Okay. So how do we get into that equation, right? So all our conversation and has to interrupt our audience. It has to engage our audience. It's got to educate our audience, and then we have to have a formidable offer. Okay. So if you think about it, so if you look at any marketing material, you're getting bombarded all the time, and several bits and pieces of data every single day, and then you have to then sort of get jolted out of that, right? So our communication has got to interrupt our audience. So your headline has to interrupt your audience. Your sub headline sort of engages the audience, keeps them together, right? And then you gotta give them something. You got to educate them somehow, and then your offer, what are you going to give them? Especially in this day and age, people want to be given something. Okay. Let me see if I can do this properly here. Let's go to the next screen. Is that next screen? Nope. Scroll down. I have to scroll down. This is going to be funny. Okay. All right. So now this is going to be very, very hilarious. You just can roll. I think that's a perfect spot. Okay. That's perfect. So the opportunity here is that we have so much, we're so saturated with information that it's going to behoove us as businesses to take the initiative to follow up with our constituents. Okay. Now I'm going to say this. It takes a lot of touch points. We talked about earlier. We talked about the conversation with maybe with the parishes, getting to know who we are, or maybe you've got somebody that's filling in a form on your website. They're interested in enrolling, and then you give them a call, but you can't get a hold of them. How many times do you do that, right? How many times do you go after them even after they've filled out a form on our website saying, hey, they're interested? It's going to take many touch points, but if we do our conversion equation right, we limit that to about 5 to 12. Okay. So one of the key areas is that let's not get frustrated if we can't get a hold of them the first time, or even the second time, or even the third time. Let's all get comfortable in knowing it's going to take 5 to 12 times. All right, is everybody still with me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then here's the opportunity: is that most businesses, I'm gonna really treat our schools as businesses, because they are businesses even though they're nonprofit. But most businesses do not follow up with their prospects. Most schools do not follow up with their prospective enrollees or parents. Okay. So if we cannot even stay in the game long enough to get to 5, you're already putting yourself at 80% better than all your quote unquote your competition. All right. So I'm gonna keep going here, and I'm gonna kind of give you the buyer's journey. So this is the age that we live in. We live in the edge of where our constituents have a lot of information on their hands. So by the time they come to us, they're coming to us in 3 different phases, right? They're either future buyers, or they're soon to be buyers, or they're ready to go. Most marketing competes for the 1% of buyers that are ready to go. And that's a very, very small pool. But the key is to kind of realize how do we put ourselves in their mind before they get to the 1%. Because a lot of the times, most people are just gathering information. Would you agree? Like, how many times, before you pull the trigger on something, how many times do you actually research it?
Several. For like, if I'm going to buy a car, I might research it for a year. So a child's education, I'd probably be looking into far in advance.
Far in advance, right? So again, perfect example. And that's why it's very, very critical to kind of get into that conversation early and stay there early. And the way we do that is by follow-up, by constant communication, email, phone calls, being present to them, social media presence. Cardinal Mooney, you mentioned how strong your social media presence is. That's a way of staying present to them as they walk through this journey. Our I can't remember who mentioned in the previous at the 9 o'clock hour about the email list being about 2,400 people strong, right? And they're communicating to that email base. How many times do we touch the email base on a consistent basis? That's staying present as well, all right? So I'm not going to keep going through this presentation, but I just want to give you that snapshot of what how our buyers are thinking currently. So I'm going to use an example here of this is a finance. This is what do you call it? Investment finance group. All right. We talked about having a strong offer, and I'm going to introduce a little bit of a concept. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is a concept of resistance. There are several different levels of resistance that people have towards an offer, right? Sort of a guard. Hey, so I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at this marketing investment firm, and kind of go. This is their website. This is their landing page. It looks great. It looks decent from most eyes, right? They've got the logo. They've got get your free quote. They've got their number. They've got their number again, and then they've got, hey, contact Gary, right? But I don't know who Gary is. I am not going to just necessarily give Gary my information either. I am not going to just call Gary up and get a sales call on the other side. Okay? I don't know anything about Gary, and all of a sudden there's all this, hey, give me your personal information, let me get a hold of you. Right? That's our typical websites look like. And so the resistance is high to just giving up information without really kind of a good or invitation to, right? Another thing too, I don't know what Gary really is, what problem do I have? I have a problem I don't want. I have a solution I don't have yet. And right now, Gary is not really giving me any of that at the moment, right? He's just giving me more information. Another way to look at this is if I took the mutual fund store and Gary's information out of this, could this be any other investment marketing firm in their area? That was the question. If I just took out the name, if I blocked off the name, the logo, and the person, could you differentiate that page from any other investment marketing firm?
No, there's nothing different about it.
There's absolutely nothing different about it. There's nothing compelling about it. Okay, so let's kind of move on. So I'm going to give you a case study here, and I'm going to use a child psychologist. Right? This is actually a true case study. And this is a child psychologist, because we're all parents, we're dealing with children, parents, and everything else. This may really kind of hit home. They're advertising parenting advice and resources from Dr. John Smith. He specializes in all these things, and his offer is a free consultation, with his office. He's got a video, so he's doing some elements right. He's got a video. But in the video, he's like, hey, I want to welcome you to my remarkable parenting. You'll find tons of great information here with hundreds of pages of articles. So let me ask you this, as a parent, as a teacher, and anybody else, right? You are researching a particular one of these cases, right? Do you want, and maybe in a position of need? Remember the two questions: what problem do I have that I don't want, and what solution do I want that I don't have yet? Those are two quick questions, right? So if I'm researching a child psychologist or in this situation, what can you give me some examples of what problem I may be having?
Might be having an emotionally disturbed child or behavioral problems with that child. And so you're looking for that specifically, right? Exactly.
So that's a prime example. Now he goes through here and he says emotionally disturbed children. He's kind of giving you the sort of the different categories of different categories of issues you could be dealing with. But this kind of marketing, which again is very, very acceptable, it looks decent from a marketing perspective, right? If I'm running paid traffic to this, it's going to give me what we have all decided is acceptable results, right? It's going to give me, maybe I have a paid ad and I'm sending people to this. This is a landing page. It's going to give me the accepted results. If I get 1%, I'm happy. Isn't that correct? Is that what we've sort of generally accepted?
Yeah, that's.
Yes.
Right. We've generally accepted that. So 300 leads a month, 10% consultation, and again, basically 10% on every level. And how many people actually end up having a consultation and converting into clients? About 1%. That's acceptable. But let me venture this, right? I'm gonna take we just kind of took his own page and changed a couple different things. I want you guys to notice what's different here. Tell me what you notice that's different.
Well, I feel like it's not as much information. It's just my email and my name. And then it's like learn the secrets of something that I might be having a problem with.
It's brand specific to like an issue.
It addresses a specific issue, right? Who else?
It doesn't give out a lot of information. You don't have to give a lot of information out of personal information, which I kind of like.
Excellent. And I think the key again is it addresses a specific issue somebody's dealing with, right? If I'm a parent of a 12-year-old who is throwing tantrums all the time, and I need to figure out how to control this now, not after my consultation with you, the headline is interrupting. Are you sick and tired of yelling, screaming, and the belligerent attitude of your child? You go, yes, I am. It addresses a pain point exactly, right? That's a pain point. And then it engages them. It's like, well, you know what? I understand. I get you. Now you can discover how to control your child and restore peace, like right now.
So we could do something that turns it into something that's specific that says, if you want small class environments with a nurturing teacher, home, whatever you want to say, enter your name. Like if you're looking for a family environment, whatever, then that's where you're call to action, basically.
Exactly. But it's always in the form of the problem, not the solution, right? It's all your headline is in the form of the problem. Are you tired of large class sizes and your child just being number 29? And then the offer is we don't have enough, or the offer is very, very simple. For our case, it could be the 12 benefits of something. It could be the 12, maybe it's right now it's difficulty learning at home, or how to get your kid to do their homework, right? Something that a parent or a teacher, or whoever, in this like a parent, would be dealing with, right? And then if we have video, the video doesn't necessarily, the video also engages, but it does not belittle, it does not take in the video, we could do this, shorten this for the presentation, but he doesn't take the pain away just yet, right? He kind of continues the conversation and then says, by the way, right, here is just, put in your email, very simple, intrusive, just your email, in fact, your first name, right? You're reducing the barriers of resistance. Hey, just put your first name on your email and I'll send you over this report, right? Now, but once he's in your system, now he can deliver what he promised, which is the 60-second guide, and at the bottom, make the case for why his practice is the best, right? To kind of take the next conversation to another level. So I'm going to keep going here, and I'm going to show you sort of the difference in that approach for this particular child psychologist, okay? The same number of leads, they're spending the exact same number of on marketing, but now they've doubled their conversion ratio of people who are opting in. And now you can start to follow you can start to follow that equation when you set up your marketing funnel and start to go, okay, if I double the number of people who are opting into St. Joseph's website, thinking about the child or ICS, then it's just, again, it becomes sort of a numbers game, but you can start to track, how you can improve the back end of that, how you can see your measurable results. And you did not spend any additional amount on marketing. You just improved the entry point. And you can create, you don't have to create all different websites. You can create different landing pages that are very, very specific. I'm sorry?
I think someone just has a hot mic. You can continue, Joseph.
Okay, yeah, but you can create different landing pages. You don't have to create whole new websites. This is not about that. Remember, we're trying to be cost efficient here, but your marketing is targeted towards a specific need. Maybe it's second graders, right? That you want to target. We were talking about enrollment in a different conversation. I need more second graders, right? So then my whole conversation, my whole marketing talks to parents who are in first grade or kids who, that kind of a thing. You can really target this to whatever result that you want. And because you've done that targeting in the first place, you get better ROI, better conversion, better objectives in the back end, because you're going to follow this up with specific marketing, specific follow-up. So I'm going to actually, this is that kind of result, right? But I'm gonna take this a little bit farther and say, now when you set up your follow-up needs to get also segregated in how the person came to know about you and what issue led them to your website. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we all together still? Am I losing anybody?
No, we're here.
Yeah.
We're all here, we're just muted. We're not.
Yeah. Okay. But do you follow that? If I came in looking at what my problem was, large class sizes, and now your email follow up becomes about something completely different from that issue. Am I more likely to open your email or not open your email?
Open.
You will open it, right? Because
Get them to open it.
Yeah, because it's something that it was the problem that led you there in the first place, and so you're more apt to open the email because it's relevant. It's relevant to what your situation is, and so I'm kind of marrying two different concepts. I'm marrying follow-up and the initial interaction, but this is how you create expanded results. This is how you improve your ROI in a hurry without necessarily increasing marketing budget. Is how do we marry those two together? I'm gonna keep going here a little bit. Everybody's gonna have this. This is what we're talking about a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna increase this document, but this is sort of in a nutshell how you can evaluate every single piece of collateral you put out there. You can evaluate on those four elements. Does the headline interrupt? Do I grab attention? Does my sub headline engage? Okay, and there's 5 key questions in each of them. How you can grade it, and the goal of this is at the end you want to be scoring a 3 or better, and you will see dramatically improved results from anything you put out there. This can apply to your email, It can apply to your Facebook posts. It can apply to ad spots you run in the newspaper. But just kind of going through this sort of equation, you can take some of your old marketing collateral and kind of run it through this evaluation. You know, do I interrupt? Do I engage? You know, do I educate? All right, and then do I promote? Is my offer strong enough? What's my call to action? You hear the word call to action all the time, and questions. You know, is my call to action strong enough? And then the fifth part of that is everything. It could be, you know, is everything does it gel together? Is everything consistent, or is it sort of jumpy? Those are like the five key areas, and you know I'm going to make this available to everybody because then the as far as actionable steps you can take out of this is really going through your, you know, we're going to clean up ICS website. You better believe that, but you can start to go through some of your already existing marketing collateral and go, hey, you know, how am I doing on this? Am I scoring a 3 or better, a 3 out of 5 or better? And you can start to actually do a plus minus, right? Put the same thing out the old way, put the same thing out using some of this concept, and kind of see what performs better. You know, and now that's how we start to refine that. But I just wanted to share this. I want to, you know, be responsible with time. But I kind of wanted to share this with you guys, kind of introduce the concept. This is just the beginning of the conversation, but we can definitely have more conversations on this later on, and I'm open to having that discussion with anybody. Again, you know, it was kind of like rapid fire, but you know, I'm glad that John is recording this, and there will be an opportunity to kind of go back and review it, you know, on time. But that's the end of the formal presentation. Really, I think that was all I wanted to introduce, and then that's it. That's it. I'm open to Q&A, but again, I hope the lawnmower is like right in my ears, so I hope it's okay for you guys.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for overcoming the technical issues. And I've been exactly where you are. Lawnmowers, helicopters, planes, you name it. But I do have a few questions, but before I launch into mine, does anyone have questions for Joseph or any comments about how the conversion equation relates to what you do at your respective schools?
I don't have any questions. I just want to commend him for taking such a business approach, because having come out of a corporate world and into development and education, I often say that the school is our business and that we're constantly, you know, keeping customers happy and getting new customers and making sure our old customers are leaving the door with a good feeling. So I liked that approach. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, Joseph, I have a few questions. I remember you mentioned this in the beginning of your presentation. Now that you've been working at one of the schools, how do you use the conversion equation at Incarnation? Do you have any examples of how you've implemented that at ICS?
Yes. So we use the equation a lot in our approach to the Giving Challenge in terms of our newsletters. Okay, so I try to make sure, because everybody's sending out the same material, is how does our headline, you know, grab the attention of the people in our newsletter. So I use that a lot in that conversation, and I think that's why in a very, very short time frame we're able to pull the results we did. But I only took over running the Giving Challenge about 3 weeks before the challenge ran. So we use that there, and we're using it quite a bit on our Facebook social media posts. And as I work on revamping the website, we're going to use that as well on our website.
Excellent. And then a follow-up to that, Joseph. I know what, at least from my standpoint, I know some of the challenges that probably every school has is just trying to differentiate a Catholic school from any other private or charter school or even the public school system. To give you an example, I know that Sarasota County has some of the best public schools in the state.
Yes.
So from a conversion equation standpoint, how do you make a school stand out? What are some key factors to get you to be the using your business analogy, you are the better product. We know that. We know Catholic schools offer so much during and beyond the high school years, so or grade school and high school years. So what can we do to differentiate ourselves from the other schools that tout the same services?
I think one of the things that I'm realizing is that we don't speak loud our strengths loud enough, and it may just be again, a philosophy, or everybody should know who we are, but we don't scream our strengths loud enough. And I think being bold about who you are and differentiating as a school, every school has its own identity, right? So every school has its own ethos, identity, who we are. Like, who are you? Cardinal. If I thought of Cardinal, what's a fast brand identity that would come into my mind? I'll give you an example. I knew of Cardinal before I moved to Sarasota because of their sports program, right? And I know it's not, but I knew Cardinal all the time because some of the best players came out today, almost like IMG. But every school has that. Cardinal is like a strong Catholic high school in the region, right? And
Right.
being able to know to really kind of go introspect a little bit, maybe do some of that brand marketing. We're talking about some surveys outside. Who do people say we are, all right? And then speak that boldly and in every given moment you have. And part of that is some of these questions. People say they come here because of this. So okay, what's the pain point? And being, that's how you're going to differentiate yourself. I mean, that's how, we've got great elementary schools. Yeah, why should I pay Catholic what else makes you special than going to going down to Southside instead of going to Incarnation, right? What makes you stand out? But I think it's being loud about it and unapologetic about what makes us, what's your identity, and making sure that number one and foremost that your particular constituents, our families, our students are speaking that. Because here's the reality of it. At any given time, 50% of the market has already decided what they're going to do about something. Okay? 35% of the market are going to ask somebody about their thing. Right? They're going to ask for a referral. 35% of the market. Only 15% of the market is undecided. Right? So if I focused all my energy on making sure the 35% people knew about my school, and the only way they can know about my school is because my parents are talking about it, my students are talking about it, our parishioners are talking about it. They're gonna more the chances of them coming, the chance of them coming into contact with somebody who's considering high school or elementary school or whatever is higher by percentage of population than the 15% that are clueless, that I'm going to have to spend a lot of time beating through the noise. Do you see what I mean? So that is one way, again, to kind of get the message across. John, you asked, how do we know, or how do you differentiate yourself? It's how many people in your immediate now circle are talking and talking your brand identity to the world. You're not going to, you're going to reach more people that way. And as that starts to take hold, you're not going to really need to do a lot of marketing to go after the 15%. Does that translate? Did I go too far? I don't know.
No, you answered my question. I'm sorry, Deb had her hand raised. I'm going to lower her hand. Deb, what's your question?
Muted.
Oh, you're muted? Unmute. Deb, are you still there?
Yes, I'm unmuted. Thank you. Yeah, my question is that, and I think not unlike many of our elementary schools, I have a pre-K, I have elementary, and I have middle school. In many ways, I'm marketing to 3 different areas or 3 different interest groups that are there as far as looking for school or marketing a school. How do I keep a unified message in my marketing that still stays strong to the fact that those are 3 very strong separate entities when it comes to parent interest areas when they're looking at schools?
That's a great question. There's 2 ways you can do that. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can do that by segmenting, for instance, your core website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And segment your core website through pre-K to 3rd grade, middle school, and then 5 to 6, whatever, and then 6 to 8. And then inside of that, you're speaking specific. Again, that's another way to make it easy for people, right? If I come to your website and I'm looking at pre-K, I'm mentioning pre-K to 3rd grade, I don't really care about all that stuff about your high school, whatever, right? If I can click on a button that is 3K, for instance, just a big old block on your website. Hey, if you're interested in pre-K to 3rd grade, this is you. And then inside that, you can then talk to that person. What's more important to them? What things are they looking at that level? You can start to segregate your website that way. And then when you start to market outside, if you're spending any dollars on marketing, and this is very, very important again, you ask a fantastic question. My destination link cannot be my broad website.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, this is something we did.
Now. Yeah.
Right. It's got to go to the thing that got them interested in the first place. So if it was marketing, if you've got marketing out there that's talking about your pre-K to 3rd grade education, your classes or whatever, then, and you say, hey, for more information, leave us an email or go to this website. That website is keeps the conversation alive for them wherever they land. If they go to your general website, they're lost.
There's too much, yeah.
They're completely lost. So that's how you differentiate that. And you can have continuity in your messaging, but on your site, kind of bring them all together. You can interplay them, but that's how you do that. And then that way, and you can now measure directly how we talked about measurable goals and ROI, how that marketing is performing for that particular segment of your population.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that Cardinal Mooney, one of the things that jumped out at you was sports, and that is something we are known for. We seem to excel at. It's a high school, so there you have that option. I can market that all day long, but we also have to take care of other aspects of our business, drama or things like that, even though that can be only 1% of our population. And we try to talk about our Catholic school and all that kind of stuff. But do we, this will help me if I would get your opinions. If that's kind of what we're known for, do we embrace that and go with it? Or do we sit there and try to not work against it, but work parallel to it, I guess. I think I can embrace it, but then, that's not necessarily the entire Catholic school image. I don't know.
No, it's not. But you raise a very good point. A lot of the times we've all been taught to do what, right? We've all been taught to kind of work on our weaknesses, right? And sometimes the actual value play is magnify your strengths, and then while you bring everything else up. So yes, it's not for the person that's interested in Catholic education. They're not going to care about the sports necessarily, right? But you're gonna pick up some of that we may be ignoring a good number of people who sports is a driver by not addressing that strongly enough, by not making that loud enough.
Oh, there's quite a few students that literally come to our school for the sports.
So I would 100%, I would 100% shine a bigger spotlight on that.
However, I just want to interject. There's definitely, a sports aspect to Cardinal Mooney, but we have kids that come there because they understand having a Catholic high school on their resume is going to help them get into places like Notre Dame and Catholic and Assumption. And so we do have that aspect of academic excellence. We have several families that walk in the door and never want to see the inside of our gymnasium.
Exactly. So here's what this is bringing up is that we have to get away from one size fits all marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like a lot of our stuff, like we're going to focus in on something that has to do with our college. We're going to focus in on our sports. We're going to focus in on, the arts.
Yes, and every school. When we start to do that, now you're reaching a broader marketplace, and again, the key part is what are my people thinking about, right? And how do I then interject myself in that space, put myself in between that as a possible solution to that particular issue, and then when they come in through that angle, and my follow-up is only going to be about that to them.
Right.
Joseph, a question, and actually even a recommendation. Do you think that looking at how the colleges and universities approach this issue is a good way to maybe set a template? Like, for example, like many schools in the SEC are known for their sports, especially football. But from a marketing standpoint, at least in my opinion, they do a pretty good job at, especially during the football games, with commercials that say, hey, we're more than just sports. We offer all these other kind of programs. Is that something that we could borrow from the college university, or do you feel that there's other organizations that do it better in terms of segmenting their markets to the right people?
100% you could do that. I'm thinking about the medical industry more, right? And thinking about pharma. And pharma does a fantastic job of issue solution, period, right? Issue solution. They could have so many different products, but they don't try to put everything into, Abbott Laboratories, right? It's a specific drug for a specific situation. Now, while you're watching something related, I'm going to introduce you, hey, by the way, did you know that we do this and this and this? All right. So for me, yes, the colleges do a fantastic job. It's a way to look at that. But also think about pharmaceutical and how clean and precise their marketing is.
And then my follow-up question to that, Joseph, and I know, is how do we ensure that within our marketing that we keep faith at the core? Because sometimes we are focused on the academics, the sports, the arts, getting into college, meeting certain exceptional needs. But in the end, we are a Catholic organization. So what are some recommendations you have, or what are you trying to do to ensure that faith and Catholicism leads the way in our marketing efforts?
Don't run away from it.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true. Obviously, we don't want to hide or run away, but
exactly.
How do we keep that in the forefront?
No, but that's the thing. It's to make every piece of communication somewhere, and with something that I don't have to tell you who I am. You know who I am by how I am speaking, and how maybe the phraseology, maybe I put in a prayer, God bless you, what I put it in there in my languaging. I'll give you a little bit of an example, right? We started a broadcast here with prayer. Okay, we did a complete live to the general public during the challenge, and we started with prayer. We did not shy away from it. And I think sometimes we try not to speak our faith because we don't want to maybe alienate some people. But I think it's actually the opposite is truer, is that I want my people to know that I am their person. So absolutely speaking it strongly, keeping it in all our marketing, in all our language, not being afraid to, to broadcast it in everything that we do, is the way to do it. It's really kind of keep, I totally believe that we don't do enough of a job because we don't feel like, we think it's in a funny way, kind of some vanity, or we don't want to alienate people, right? We want to be all welcoming, and we are, but at the same time, this is who we are, right? And the fastest way for us to improve our brand identity and everything else is to actually, in a funny way, say say no to everybody else that doesn't believe in what we believe and what we're about. You know what that does? It's going to improve your conversions 100% by speaking that. Well, we have to not be afraid to not be liked or popular, whatever the word is, and go, yep, no, hey, if you don't believe in what our faith stands for, great, this is not a place for you, right? But there's enough of those people that believe what we believe, and because we're not, we're trying to reach everybody, we're not doing a greater job of reaching those people, because that's who we want. An idea came up at the 9 o'clock hour of connecting the schools with the DREs from all the different churches, right? Again, why is that? Because they're the parents who are active in those programs care about their faith, and we're Catholic schools, and that's just should be a natural marriage. All things being equal, they should at least know who we are. So that's how I'll do it. I'll definitely be bold and loud about it, 100%.